All right, let's talk about Ethereum in early 2026, because honestly, it's facing a massive identity crisis. Depending on who you ask or what chart you look at, you get two completely different stories. On one hand, you've got this narrative that it's never been stronger. But on the other, it looks like it's in a total freefall. We're going to try and make sense of this whole puzzle. So here's the deal. In early 2026, Ethereum is basically sending two completely contradictory signals out into the world. You've got the fundamental, under-the-hood health of the network, and then you have the raw, emotional, gut-wrenching reality of the market price. And man, are they telling opposite stories right now. Okay, signal number one. This is a massive, massive vote of confidence in the network. For the first time in its history, over 30% of all ETH is now being staked. We're talking locked up, securing the blockchain, showing long-term belief. That's a new all-time high, and you just can't argue with that. It's a fundamentally strong metric. But then, you look at the other signal, the price, and it is ugly. We're talking a brutal crash down to around $2,000. I mean, that just wipes out a staggering amount of value. And if you're one of the people who bought into those new ETFs, you are deep, deep in the red. So what gives? Which one is the real story? Is Ethereum a healthy, maturing network that's hitting its stride? Or is it just another crashing speculative asset? That's the big question, and that's exactly what we're going to dig into right now. All right, let's start with the bull case. The argument here is simple. You have to ignore the price for a second and just look at the fundamentals. Because if you look under the hood, the network itself has literally never been more powerful. And a huge reason for that strength is a late 2025 upgrade called Fusaka, which rolled out this incredible new tech called PeerDAS. Okay, so think of it like this. Before, to verify data, a validator had to download the entire huge block. It's like having to download a whole 4K movie just to check if one scene is correct. But with PeerDAS, they just need to download a few tiny random samples. This is a game changer. It slashes the bandwidth and hardware needed, making it way easier for more people to help secure the network. And you know what? The way they rolled this out was just brilliant. Instead of doing one huge, risky, hold-your-breath update, they did it in two small, careful steps, these BPO mini-forks. They just sort of incrementally turned up the dial on capacity. And the result? Bam! Layer 2 transaction costs got slashed by nearly 60%, and the whole ecosystem is now humming along at over 100,000 transactions per second. It's proof that Ethereum can actually upgrade itself without breaking things. And this tech success? It's translating into some serious real-world dominance. Ethereum has basically cornered the market on what you could call the bank vertical. I'm talking about tokenizing real-world assets, stocks, bonds, that kind of thing. It's captured a whopping 65% of that market. Plus, it's the foundation for a massive $165 billion stablecoin market. It's the undisputed king. And you can see that institutional confidence just growing and growing. I mean, check this out. When Goldman Sachs had to reveal their crypto holdings, people were shocked. Why? Because they were holding almost as much Ether as they were Bitcoin. Think about that. A super conservative bank like Goldman Sachs is making a huge, way out of proportion bet on Ethereum. That speaks volumes about where they think the future is. Okay, so that all sounds pretty great, right? But that's only one side of the story. Now we have to look at the bear case. Because while the network is humming along beautifully, the asset, the price of ETH, is getting absolutely crushed. And you can really see the pain when you look at those new institutional investors. According to the folks at Bloomberg Intelligence, the average person who bought into the new spot ETH ETFs, their cost basis is around $3,500. So with the price at $2,000, well, you can do the math. They are way, way underwater. And what happens when people are losing that much money? The result is pretty clear. For weeks on end, we've seen money just pouring out of these ETFs, hundreds of millions of dollars in redemptions. That's a huge signal that conviction, at least for now, is seriously fading. This all leads to this wild, almost schizophrenic disconnect in the market. I mean, on one side, you've got a major bank like Standard Chartered saying, hey, ETH is going to hit $7,500. But then you have the technical analysts, the chart guys, and they're pointing to targets as low as $1,760, $1,400, even $1,000. The market literally has no idea what to think. And just to add a little more fuel to the fire, there's been some growing concern over moves made by co-founder Vitalik Buterin himself. He pulled out over 16,000 ETH, and there were comments about the Ethereum Foundation entering a period of mild austerity. Now, to be fair, he said it was to fund public goods. But you know how it is. In a jumpy, nervous market like this, a move like that is more than enough to spook investors.
So what's really going on here? The crucial thing to understand is that this isn't just a simple bull versus bear market. Not at all. What we're actually watching is a deep, fundamental identity shift, a change in what Ethereum is and what it's trying to be. People are calling this the Great Unbundling, and here's what it means. The old vision, the idea of Ethereum as this one single world computer that does everything for everybody, that idea is basically dead. The new vision is for Ethereum to become something much more focused, much more specialized, a world settlement layer.
Okay, let me give you an analogy to make this super clear. Think of the main Ethereum network, Layer 1, as the new B2B industrial core of a city. It's where the big, important, high-value stuff happens. We're talking settlements between banks, huge transactions between other blockchains. It's the financial district. And all the everyday user activity, the BTC stuff, that's all moving out to the suburbs, the fast, cheap, sprawling world of Layer 2 rollups. And Vitalik himself has been really vocal about this. He's basically said, look, the original vision for L2s just doesn't make sense anymore. The main Layer 1 network is getting so efficient and fees are so low that just being cheaper isn't enough. He's challenging them, saying, if I were an L2 today, I'd have to find some other reason to exist, some unique value add besides just scaling.
So this whole identity shift, this great unbundling, it's not just a random pivot. It's all part of a much bigger and honestly, a much more radical long-term mission for the entire network.
And that mission is something Vitalik calls the walk-away test. And the goal is exactly what it sounds like. He wants to build Ethereum to be so robust, so stable, so fundamentally sound that it could just keep running securely forever, even if he and all the other core developers just walked away from it tomorrow. It's an incredible ambition.
You know, this whole philosophy creates this really profound dilemma. There was this perfect example where a developer was dealing with a crisis in his own project, kind of like a mini version of the big DAO hack. And he said, I am torn between fixing things quickly and letting the rules play out to see when the fix comes naturally. He wanted to see that natural, emergent behavior. Do you step in and play God, or do you trust the system you built to figure it out on its own? That's the core challenge.
And that right there is the final piece of the puzzle. That's the resolution to the paradox we started with. The price is crashing because the market wants a fast-moving, high-stakes casino. But the people actually building Ethereum, they are actively, deliberately trying to make it boring. Their mission is to turn it into something like the internet's base protocols, stable, reliable, and so good at its job that you completely forget it's even there.
So that leaves us with the big final question, doesn't it? Can Ethereum actually pull this off? Can it achieve this radical mission of becoming invisible, essential infrastructure? Or, no matter what the builders do, is it destined to always be defined by its crazy, volatile, and unpredictable price? That right there, that's the fundamental tension that's going to define Ethereum for years to come.